Good morning. My name is Linda. I have an Etsy shop called Vintage Joys and Jewels, and among other things, I love to make journals, and that's kind of my newest passion. I want to show you my latest junk journal that I made. I have several others in my shop of varying sizes. This is a small Halloween junk journal, and the cover is made from a paper bag and that I embellished with a strip of fabric and some paper, just a small collage. This is a small little crochet doily that I got from a woman named Irina in Russia from her Etsy shop. Little vintage button, some dangles that I made. I've also have a history of jewelry making, so I no longer do that, but I do love making the little dangles. And so I'm going to open it here. It's just a simple closure with some baker's twine and a little loop-de-loop around the button. And hopefully this is my first attempt at a video, so I know I've got a lot of learning to do. So this front cover is a double pocket with some, there we go, with some vintage trick-or-treaters and a little silhouette die cut that I got also from an Etsy shop, Winnie's Die Cuts. A little vintage image of a mother giving out some treats on Halloween. That was probably a pretty popular house because she's giving out the full-size candy bars. I get a lot of my images from royalty-free vintage ads. Some of these images I have had for so long because I just love them. Another little tag that I made for the front. Okay, this is an oldie but a goodie, one of my favorite old scrapbook papers. I'm trying to work my way through my stash of scrapbook paper, but I think it reproduces itself while I sleep because I never seem to make a dent in it. Another little card that I made with our tag with some room for journaling. This little pocket is cut from a Halloween treat bag. Let me try to keep myself in frame here. Some more of my scrapbook paper, a vintage playing card, some little experiment with some dyed paper. I think I used just some Tim Holtz distress ink with that. Some children's ledger paper. This is a belly band that I sewed from some vintage Halloween fabric and kind of a big journaling card. This coffee dyed paper is called Grunge Coffee Stained Lined Notebook paper. It's from Digital Fit on Etsy. This is actually a piece of coffee dyed paper that I made myself. I do love to dye paper and other things in coffee. And I just tore that. Well, it kind of was a happy accident. I didn't tear it straight, but I kind of liked the look, so I left it. This is one of those wonderful Tim Holtz picture wheel die cuts. I got this from Mossy Creek Studios on Etsy, and I just backed it with some old book page and colored it with some of my distress inks and made a little matching. I just covered a Project Life card with some Halloween fabric for that, but a large tuck would also go in there. So large or small. Here's another one of my favorite little Halloween vintage images of this trick-or-treater, just as cute as she can be. And another one of my little dangles from probably an old earring or something. And here is a fabric flip. Love this fabric. I just bought it last year thinking I would make some masks from it, and I'm enjoying crafting with it so much I haven't made a mask with it yet. This is from an old Goosebumps book. I have two boys that are in their 30s and my daughter's in her 20s, and I still have their old Goosebumps paperbacks that they used to read, and we're getting older now, so the pages are naturally yellowing, so it's kind of funny that I'm using my children's things and calling them vintage. But this is a little tea bag that I stamped, and inside of there is a yummy package of pumpkin chai tea for whoever purchases this journal. And I hung a few beads on the end of the tea bag, of the tea strings. This is the center of the signature. It's a one signature journal. Hung some vintage buttons, which is another one of my passions, is vintage buttons. I have two Etsy stores. One is called VintageJoysAndJewels, where you'll find my my vintage items, as well as my paper crafting things and my handmade journals. But I also have JellyJarButtons is another Etsy shop that I have, and I sell mostly vintage buttons there and a little bit of my old jewelry that I used to make. Anyway, love this. I'm gonna try to get a close-up of that because it's just so adorable. That is a little button card. It's a digital, and it's from Craftique Redo on Etsy. And I loved that image so much, I actually asked her if she would make it into a digital so that I could put it in my journals, and she graciously did that. So they're available in her shop, and I sewed a couple of little vintage buttons on there. I don't know if that's gonna be clear or blurry, but anyway, so cute. I love that. Probably my favorite little thing in this book. Another cute little vintage trick-or-treater from an old ad. Love her face and that witch. And let's make sure we're in the screen here. Some more papers. This is a 3-tuck or a 3-pocket page. I've got a little journaling card here. I put some, decorated some little tags and put them in the second pocket, and then there's also a top pocket here. So I'm just having a little fun with those old tickets. I love vintage tickets. Little page detailing there. This isn't, I also love old trick-or-treating sacks. And I made a little tag for this, and another one of my favorite Halloween papers, and I think I used the last bit of it making this tag. Okay, this is image tag that I made of some vintage trick-or-treaters, a little Batman and Casper the Friendly Ghost. This was from a collage sheet that I got from Red Lead Paperworks. It is absolutely my favorite rubber stamping and art supply online store. They used to be a brick and mortar store here in St. Louis, and they really taught me everything I know about paper crafting for the most part. I love them. They still have really the best products. And this is maybe my favorite little page, my favorite Halloween stamp. I think I've said that every time, but this guy says, to be frank, I love Halloween. A little Frankenstein. He's being frank. And I also tucked a little journaling card in there as well. It's a covered, altered project life card because this pocket is wide enough. It's actually just a piece of junk mail that had a window, and I'm using the inside of it because I liked the black and white print that was in there. And Frank just fits right perfectly inside of that window. And let's see, the last page here, I took in this pocket, decorated a little flash card and put in there. It says spell, can't tell if that is backwards to you or if you're reading that correctly. And there's a pocket there, and also in the back cover there's a pocket, and I usually will tuck a little something in there special for the recipient of the journal. and the back page, which is the paper bag. And that is it. This little tie, it's very easy to just loop around it. It gets pretty snug for you. And that is it. Thank you for putting up with my very first video. Hopefully there will be more. And thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I send everyone love today.